It's time to face the music as we carve a detailed face into a pumpkin here on My Sketchy Habit. Hello, my name's Patrick. I'm an artist and this is My Sketchy Habit, where we draw every day and we don't have to be ashamed because art is good and you are good at art. Even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, we're art positive and we believe in you. Speaking of believing in you, I have an art gallery where I want to share your art. All you have to do is join the Discord down below, join the Doodle Croodle, and show us what you can do. We can't wait to see what you are working on. We're an art positive place, and we have a daily inspiration. We have a whole month long of costume season inspirations. Yesterday was leaves? So what did that mean to you? I don't know. This is what it meant to me. And I can't wait to share your art. Drop it in the Discord. We'll get it up on screen as soon as we can. And I cannot wait to see it. For now, it is time for us to go to our next pumpkin. It's pumpkin week here. We're carving pumpkins every single day. And we're trying this new medium here on the channel. I cannot wait to show you today's pumpkin. We are doing a face. A legitimate human face, as best I could. Pumpkin is a tough medium. I do know some tips and tricks for carving faces. It turns out wonderfully and weirdly, and that's okay, because art is fun and good. I cannot wait to show you. Let's get to the carve. All right, today we're going to be making a human face, which means we're going to need a generic circle, because the basics of a face is a circle. Now we're going further than we normally would. We're using some of my specialized tools. As I mentioned in my previous videos, you don't need to use tools like this. This is a V tool. I showed you in the last video how to do similar things like this with a standard knife. It's a lot of push cuts and nice and easy to do. Make sure you check out those videos for some more tips as well. And so yeah, we're basically starting by removing the skin so that we can work on the face. Now you'll notice with this pumpkin, I did not take out the top. The other pumpkins we're doing this week, we took out the top so we can put a candle in. This one we're going to be showing you just what it looks like when you remove a pumpkin and carve it without it. Now there's a few risks in doing it this way. The big risk is depth. You don't really know how deep or how thick the wall of a pumpkin is, and so you have to sort of hope for the best as you're working on it. So never go too deep. Try your best to stay on the surface as much as you can and work from there. Now when doing a face, you need to start thinking about it from the furthest out in, which means that we start with our nose. The top of the pumpkin face, which we're using that roundness to help us create depth, is going to have to be our nose. So you can see here I'm starting to create the triangle that will ultimately become our nose. And that becomes the center point for our face and the furthest tip of what comes out from the face, right? When you're looking at the side of a face, it's the nose that comes out the farthest, and we need to create some of that depth by cutting out the shape of our nose. And we do that by making a sort of rounded triangle. It's game time! I'm going to be drawing an image. You're going to be guessing what that image is. Can you do it before time is up? Let's find out! Once we've got that, we now have a bit of a marker of where our eyes are going to land. You can see me here. I'm putting a bit of a furrowed brow on this particular character. So, you know, we're getting the shape of eyes, which is oval shape, which we will be carving eyes into eventually. It's not going to look much like a face as we go. We're going to get bits and pieces, but we need to slowly be working towards depth. You can see I'm always coming back to that nose and to the eyes and trying to carve out the various bits and pieces. I'm using stop cuts. I'm using push cuts where I'm using my knife in my hand like this towards this. I'm trying not to move towards my hands because, you know, it's risky when you're using a knife. This is a good time to remind you that you should wear gloves when carving. I didn't do it for this video because I thought it looked better without them, but I often carve with cut-proof gloves. You can buy them on Amazon or places like that. They're often marketed for kitchens, and if you wear them, you will never cut yourself, right? The only way that you can cut yourself with them is that you have a stabbing motion, and if you're carving properly, you will never be stabbing. You'll only be moving across things. We're trying to create more depth here. You can see I've started to make a mouth. I'm gonna have full disclosure here. The face doesn't turn out exactly the way I want it to. I don't carve that often anymore. Obviously, I carve around the holidays of Halloween, but I don't carve wood that often anymore, and I certainly don't carve pumpkins except once or twice a year for Halloween. And so, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm not as practiced a hand as maybe I once was. And so I, you know, do an all right job with this, but it's not perfect. At the same time, we're carving a pumpkin, right? So we don't need a perfect face. We need just the expression of a face. And you can see here we're getting lines for our forehead, really wrinkly. We're trying to create a mouth that works for us. It's the mouth that really causes problems. It's time for the Dad Joke Bad Joke, where I tell you a joke that comes courtesy of my dad, who sends me a joke on WhatsApp every single day. I collect them all up so I can give them back to you, and we have another pumpkin joke because we're carving pumpkins this week on My Sketchy Habit. How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern? How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern? You use pumpkin patches. Pumpkin patches. You use pumpkin patches. How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern? You use pumpkin patches. That's the Dad Joke Bad Joke. Let's get back to the carve. And I'm coming in now trying to detail in my eye. Now this is the hardest part of this kind of project. It's certainly harder without some of these specialized tools, but you can do it with just a standard knife. You just have to take your time. Basically, we create an oval within our initial oval and begin to cut into the eye. So the eye is round, and we're going to use triangle cuts to create depth in and around it. A triangle cut is when you cut 3 lines side by side towards a point to make a triangle. It's pretty straightforward of an idea, but basically you'll cut one line in, cut a second line in towards that same point, and a third line in, and be able to remove just a triangle. That allows us to create depth around the eye without any losing of stuff around it. I should say at this point that pumpkin is a very wet and very loose material, and it can give at any moment. That's why we wear gloves. It also means that sometimes when you're working, you're going to run into problems, and things are going to come off, or things are going to fall apart, and you're not exactly going to be sure what to do with it when it does. There are a few options. You can glue stuff back on with super glue. You can just carve again on a new pumpkin. You can just carve deeper and create a different depth and adapt, or you can just leave it and have it be, you know, a malformed version of the thing you're working on. You can see here we're just trying to create cheekbones and a bit of a mouth. I don't love this mouth, so I think I come back and try to fix it a little bit later. But we have the core of our face coming together here rather nicely. We're going to call them an old man because of the wrinkly face and the wrinkly shapes. Preserving your pumpkin is a really tough thing. If you put all this effort into carving and it only lasts for like a day, that's not super fun. So one of the ways you can lengthen the life of your pumpkin is by using oil, like olive oil or vegetable oil, and a paper towel, and just rub vegetable oil on it once a day in order to create sort of a water barrier to keep the moisture in it longer. Especially the pumpkins like this that you haven't carved into it, it can actually last for quite a while. It'll get wrinklier and drier as time goes on, but that kind of just adds to the charm. Once we get these last few pieces out of here, I think we're pretty close to where our face should be. I'm excited to show you what it looks like. Again, I don't love it. It's not my favorite I've ever done, but it's still pretty good, and I'm really happy to share it with you. I hope you all the best when you try to carve your pumpkins. We're just getting some eyebrows in here by creating some little simple lines along our brows, and that's our pumpkin face. And that is our human face carved into a pumpkin. Now, I have feelings about this one. It's weird, and it didn't work out exactly the way I wanted to, and that's somewhat the challenge of the medium, somewhat the challenge of, you know, doing something I don't do that often anymore, because I don't carve pumpkins every single day. And yeah, the skills are still there, and they're a bit wonky and a bit wild, and that's okay, because that's what art can do. If you happen to give it a shot, I would love to see what you've done. We have an art gallery where I want to share your art. We, of course, would love to see if you do a pumpkin, or if you do anything else related to the channel, or our inspirations, or just what you're working on, because we're an art positive place, and I think artists need positive places to do their art, and that's what this is all about. I cannot wait to see what you're working on. Speaking of which, we have our October inspiration list, and today on our list we have Mistake. So the month theme is costume season, and today's word is mistake. What does that mean? I don't know. A broken costume? An accidental costume? A terrible costume? Who knows? Share your art in the Discord, join the Doodle Croodle, and show us what you can doodle. That'll be great. For now, we've arrived at the end of our video, and just remains for me to say the one rule of my sketchy habit, which is really our sketchy habit, which is don't tell anyone about our sketchy habit. That's between you and me. Thanks for being here, friends. Keep being awesome. Bye!